Good morning, everyone. Today, Tuyen and myself, Khang, are going to debate a proposition in business-related ethical issue, which is part 1 of the assignment, and part 2, consider the implication of the proposition for employers and employees. Let's start with the part 1. The topic I'm going to debate is corporate scandals and fraud are likely to increase in future. In the real world, business is cruel. Advantages and profits are always come first even before ethical standards. First of all, profits is one of the main reasons which ethical standards will be kicked out. Nowadays, businesses want to increase their profits as much as possible. To do so, fraud is the best way. For example, on 2015, Volkswagen Auto Group was found to falsify the test records of selected air pollutants by up to 40%. Not only Volkswagen, Mitsubishi Motors and Suzuki Motors were found to have doctored fuel economy data in 2016. Those companies' cars release enormous amount of nitrogen oxide into the atmosphere. Between ethical standard and profits, they choose profits. Besides that, there is no ethical in reducing employees' wages. When ignoring how hard employees working for their employers cut down their pay in order to reduce their costs in business. A joint investigation into 7-Eleven stores by Four Corners and Fairfax Media has found systematic underpayment of wages and the doctoring of payroll records within the country's biggest convenience store chain. 7-Eleven selling franchises over the whole world. Whether or not to be ethical is up to those people buying 7-Eleven's franchise. According to the article, loss of franchise being unethical underpay wages to employees due to their self-advantage. Last but not least, thousands of accounting fraud can be found on Google easily. The industry most commonly affected are banking, manufacturing, and governments. Asset misappropriation, corruption, and financial statement fraud are three basic types of fraud. Wells Fargo is one of the biggest scandals in 2016. Executive sought to drive growth by putting undue pressure on its employees to hit sales quotas, and many employees responded by fraudulently opening customer accounts. Employees in Wells Fargo, in order to keep their jobs, create fake accounts in the name of real customer unethically.
Hi, I'm Tuyen. I have an opposite view about the trend of corporation fraud and scandal. It seems quite clear that it is very unfair to the business who care about ethical standards and take pride in following their ethical rules. In my opinion, the first thing can lead to the false of those frauds is many eyes are looking at the fraud. Nowadays, there are thousands of academic research papers about accounting fraud and the financial impact. A lot of regulators and analysts are using their work to detect accounting fraud earlier. Besides that, there are now several intelligence firms focused on detecting accounting fraud and earning management. For example, in 2011, the New Yorker stated that a small sock selling firm called Muddy Water made an explosion about a fraud at a series of Chinese companies that were recorded in North American exchanges. The second thing is the development of corporation governance. Following to Efera Kea et al. Point out the effective internal audit function, audit committee, internal and external auditor in prevention fraud and contribute to reduce the fraud. The more the effectiveness and independence of the board of directors by following the audit committee effectiveness, the less of fraudulent activities. One more thing that Efrekaya et al. Mentioned that internal audit show as a main position in reducing the level of fraud in research in Nigeria in 2016. The last one is the role of governments. In United States, Sabanet Oles Act in 2002 had changed the quality of financial reporting by the internal controls, corporate governance, and individual accountability. Furthermore, the audit committee are more concerned about the potential whistleblower and internal control and the relationship between the auditor and the board of directors.
Regarding Tuyen's opinion, many eyes are looking on the fraud. In fact, you have lots of people watching on companies' fraud, but just a minority will do so because why would people spend their time on searching for companies' fraud when they have no benefit on exposing those frauds? Secondly, audit is conduct an official financial inspection of a company or its accounts to prevent fraud. Nowadays, we do have lots of auditors, but still not enough. Due to number of business companies increasing rapidly, auditors can't audit every company thoroughly. In order to make the audit reports credible enough, auditors need to have 4 qualities, which is professional skepticism, professional judgment, due care, and independence. I believe that not every auditors meet all these qualities. That's all my point of view. Thank you.
We can stay before I have some point of view. Firstly, I don't think all companies put profits is higher than ethical standards. According to petition, ethics had a major part in building a brand image. Honestly, consumers now like the company have good ethical brand. Therefore, it could improve companies' profit in future. Secondly, following Engage for Success, low salary can lead to less effective, efficient, and low engaged employees. These things can affect the brand value of the company and lead to reducing company profit in future. The last one, because of development of network around the world, the fraud and scandals are more easily found on the social networks. This could play the main factor that all companies must consider their unethical behavior. To sum up, both of us have a different view about the trend of corporation fraud and scandals in future. Khang and I have shown our opinion and the proof to support our ideas. With Khang, corporation fraud is increased beyond the conflict between the demand about profits of business and following the right thing. In my side, the effect of the control of government and the concern of society can be considered as a factor to reduce the corporation fraud and scandal in future.
Okay, let's move forward to part 2 to discuss how and what employees and employers can implicate in order to reduce corporate scandals and fraud in the future. I'm going to discuss the employers part, and Tuyen is covering the employees part. Employee fraud is a significant problem that all organizations facing. There are lots of reasons why employees may commit fraud. In order to prevent employee fraud, organizations should have a plan for that. First of all, knowing your employees is important. When you need to solve a problem, you need to find problem starter, which is employees. Management, including employees, can help you realize potential fraud risks. A little change from employees might lead them to revancing company. Pay a little bit more attention to employees will not only make a better company, but also a happier and efficiency employees. Letting employees knowing that they have been watching by management department and fraud consequences. This will hopefully reduce employees committing fraud. An honest employee is a treasure for every company because they not only won't be committing in a fraud and even be aware of possible fraud of others' employees. Last but not least, implementing internal controls is one of the best fraud preventions. Isolate duties in an important matters of internal control that can reduce fraud occurrence. For example, instead of letting one employee in charge of whole payroll system, separate it into different stages and let several employees in charge of each stage. This will increase the chances for fraud disclosure. Having a proper fraud prevention plan can significantly reduce employees' fraud occurrence. Cost of fraud prevention is way less costly than the cost of fraud effort.
Thanks, Khang. In my part, I will talk about the implication for employees to achieve the decrease of fraud of corporation. Nowadays, fraud and scandals could happen at any company. The fraud can affect both employer and employees. To eliminate the fraud, employees need to cooperate with company and avoid their rules in reducing fraud and scandals. To begin, knowing clearly about the right and speak out. When they make situation about making fraud or reason to lead the fraud, they can report with their employers and provide proof to prove that. Therefore, employers can base on their evidence and stop fraud soon. Secondly, joining and following the corporation's standard rules. Each company has provided the standard rule, including the ethics clause, to state the basic information for all employees. By following these rules, employees can work more effectively and can avoid committing fraud. Finally, each employee should set realistic ethical for themselves, which is following the ethical standards. By this way, employees can play a major role to help company will become good and stay away from fraud or scandals. In conclusion, both employers and employees have an important role to reduce the fraud and scandals in corporation by controlling each other and follow the rules. Employers should have know their employees clearly, control employees with rules. Furthermore, employees need to have their ethical rules and follow the company's rules. With the cooperation of both employers and employees, hopefully the corporation fraud and scandal can reduce in future.